I need you to bring up those pages. Okay, I know you probably have questions. Yeah, I think you haven't mastered it. You're not, mastering is beyond the capability. To really get good at this, you have to give yourself a little time to play with it. So really, I say, take one tool in a week and say, this week, I'm going to play with Twitter. I'm going to try it on my phone. I'm going to bring it up at work. I'm going to tweet some things. I'm going to post some things. I'm going to search for some people. And just focus on one tool. You'll get it.
Is there a like user manual or some?
And the question is there a user manual for Twitter or anything? If you just look up, there are so many YouTube videos. There's so much help on using Twitter.
Okay.
That just go search for it.
One of the things you'll see, this training obviously doesn't come with a booklet.
Is your mic on? Sorry.
Yeah, this training doesn't come with a booklet that says how to do this. And the problem, because the reason we don't do that is because tomorrow that booklet is going to change. You've got to stay on top of these things. By the time that we would write a how-to map manual, it's no longer any good. So that's the difficulty with training some of this sometimes.
So
Google it and you'll find an answer.
If you Google how to do something, or if you go to YouTube and say Twitter manual, you will come up with 47 things for how to post, how to follow, all broken up into individual things, and you can just watch them. I mean, that's what I do when I don't know how to do something. I go on YouTube or somewhere and I just look it up. So that one loaded. So I'm going to try to show you some Facebook is what we're talking about now in this particular section. Let's talk a little bit about why you would want to use Facebook. And we already talked a short bit about that you get a lot more engagement on Facebook than you do on many other tools. It's in such widespread use that it really is on a fire. I would say it's our #1 form of engagement is the combination of Facebook and Twitter. Twitter because it's available to you in an instant on your phone. It's quick. Think of these things kind of this way. Twitter is like radio used to be. It's that instantaneous short news. It's quick. 30-second story. It's that kind of thing. YouTube is what television used to be, and Facebook and blogs are what newspapers used to be, where there's more room to put more detail. They all serve a purpose in the market that they're in. Part of the deal is to know what your community is using. Before I head to an incident, I or some people helping me start looking for what's in use in that community. They start searching all over Facebook do a search in the Facebook that says, say I'm going to Sisters, Oregon, and they'll look up Sisters, Oregon and see what comes up. They'll look at Facebook pages and see which ones are talking about our incident. They'll look up the name of the forest or the name of the incident and see where Facebook pages are in use. Local fire department, the county, the Chamber of Commerce. So who's talking about this incident in this community on their Facebook pages, so that I know who I need to keep an eye on. So I keep track of who those people are, because if I'm either going to leverage their account or I just want to watch what they're saying, I need to know who else is involved in this social media stream that we have out there. One thing about Facebook, and I'll say this happened to me at the Carlton Complex this last summer. The moment we got there, the first request to me was, you have to build a Facebook page. Okay. To me, social media is just a tool. It's no different than a press release. Sometimes one's appropriate, sometimes the other one's appropriate. It's a tool. And it ought to be tiered to your communication objectives. If it doesn't meet an objective, don't do it. We don't do it just because it's fun, except Nathan. He does it just because it's fun. I don't use it unless it's going to solve a communication objective for me. So I look and they said, well, we need a Facebook page. And I said, okay, why? I mean, why are you so urgently saying you need one? Well, they had no power in town, but they had cell phones. And everyone gets Facebook on their cell phone. Anyone who has Facebook gets it on their smartphone. Well, except a few in this class don't get. But Facebook is one of those things that is optimized for your cell phone. It's meant for mobile people on the go. And most people get it on their phone. Well, if you have no power but you have cell service, you can't get on the internet on your computer, but you can get it on your phone. So it gave us a way to communicate and give people information. We couldn't get them to InciWeb. InciWeb is harder. It's not really mobile friendly. Even blogs aren't as mobile friendly as Facebook is, which is why you need all the different tools. Let's see, I wanted to show you when I talk about leveraging someone else's page. When we were working on the, I was helping, the Alaska team had the Funny River fire, and I had just come home and it's in my backyard. So I went over to help. And the first thing that I noticed was that I was helping with mostly social media stuff. There was a Funny River wildfire page already built. Now the team that team, it was their fire, not mine, they chose not to build a Facebook page for the fire. They had a team Facebook page. So they were using the team Facebook page to update things. But I was looking around and I find there's already a Funny River wildfire page. Okay, that's interesting. So I read, there's a lot of traffic going on this Facebook page. If you will go to the other, the community help page. There was this one, Funny River Fire Help and Community Resource page. Okay, and then there was one just called Funny River Fire. It was just about the fire. But all these pages were already there. So the question was, what do you do about it? If I build yet another Funny River wildfire page, I mean, what are you going to call it? They've taken all the names. What am I going to call it? And how do you differentiate yourself as an official page? Well, the team had already established the official page as the team page. So the question was, what did we do about this conversation? This conversation about our fire was going on. And in order for you to manage the messaging on your incident or your project, you need to have a place in the conversation. So how did we do that? So I took a lesson from something that had happened. I had just, when this fire started, come back from Australia. There was a fire study tour in Australia. It was a work trip. If you could bring up the Tassie one. And we'd been exposed to this kind called Tassie Fires We Can Help. This was in Tasmania. And the big fires that happened there I think this was in 2009, Black Friday, when all the fires in Australia. And what happened was, this was a young lady who was sitting at home working on her college education, and the fires happened, and she lived in Tasmania. And she noticed that it's kind of an island. This place where the fires happened in Dunlevy has this big round island with just one little connection to land. And so people were having trouble getting off. It was the island part that was on fire. And so what she ended up doing, she said, can I help? She started out with, can I help with this? Can we move your cattle? Can we move your horses? Do you have so-and-so has a boat, right? They started that. Well, the guys in charge of the fire in Tasmania saw her page and said, we could divide and conquer here. So they got in touch with her and they said, we'll answer all the fire questions. You send those people about what's happening with the fire. We will send all the requests for community help to you. Super. So she wanted her page to be positive and to be uplifting and to be good. She didn't bother to post. She never answered. People on her page talked about the fire, but she never posted anything about the fire. But the fire guy would always tell people when they had community needs, I have horses, I have dogs, I need a boat, I can't get, where's my daughter? All those things would get passed over to her. So I listened to that and I thought, there's a role for the community to play in its own community. So why do we used to go in with we have to get rid of those pages so that our page is the only official page. To be useful to the community, it doesn't have to be official, is the rule in my book now. So let's go back to the community Funny River wildfire page. So I sent a message. See the little messaging there? I didn't know who had this page. I mean, I've lived here for a long time, but I didn't know who this was. So I sent a message and I said, so whatever, who's owning this page? My name is Chris, and and I'm working on the fire, and I tried to start with you have a lot of good information here. I'm just wondering who's hosting the page. And this is a private message. I wouldn't send it now since it will actually go to this person. But so I'd like to, I just want to know who so she wrote me back and she said, it's just me. I started it because nobody else, there was nothing here and the team hadn't gotten there and there was no communication. I said, I think it's great. I appreciate you serving the community. I'm sure it's helping them a lot, have someone to talk to. I said, would you object if I were to send you, our official information and links as we get new information? She said, oh my gosh, no, that would be great. I mean, I want it to be right. And so I said, well, I'll make sure and put you on the list and I'll feed you information that's correct. And if you have any questions or if you get a post on here you're not so sure about or something that maybe I can answer for you instead of you trying to answer it, or maybe I'll just give you the answer and you can say, I talked to the information people and you post it on the page. She said, oh, that would be amazing. Worked astonishingly well. We also had the other page with the community help page. I contacted her, same thing. Could we use you as a resource for community? We get a lot of questions about, I have horses, I have dogs, I have this. Can we pass those to you? And we'll also, if you have questions about the fire, ask us. She said, sure. Worked beautifully. And I'm not saying use the people. I'm saying leverage because they're talking to their friends and neighbors. You're coming in as the government, which we all know how well that goes over sometimes. So to have her post an answer, they trust her because she's their neighbor and their friend. Yes?
I probably missed this. How did you find her again?
We'll show you how to do searches up there in that search bar.
Okay.
I just searched Funny River Wildfire and everything that said Funny River Fire or Wildfire came up. Or if I had just searched Funny River, we would have come up with something. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, that Facebook can be very powerful and you don't have to worry about competition. You can leverage those pages. Now, I will say not always. Sometimes it's we hate the Funny River Wildfire and they're not your friend and you don't want to write them a note. Then you just have to sort of watch them and figure out what to do about it. But for the most part, when they're starting these, they're starting them because the team didn't get there yet and nobody's putting up information. So this is the first thing people do. The Wallow Fire, I think there were 15 Wallow Fire Facebook pages. How do you manage that? I mean, you gotta, which is why we created that little logo that he's using, that avatar. That was created so that you could have an official, people would know which one was the official page, because you can't, at this point, use agency logos on your social media pages. So we needed something that said official fire page, so that's why we created that. But I'll let Nathan go into more detail.
So because of the time crunch, I have about 15, 20 minutes to kind of go over Facebook, which is not new. One, two, three, testing audio. We're back up. All right, we're back up with audio. Thank you for bearing with us. We did receive some good feedback that the stream is up, so that's excellent news. Did I miss that entire thing? Essentially what I was trying to share when I was cut off is you need to log into your Facebook account to get started. If you don't have a Facebook account to get started, create a Facebook account to get started. We're not demonstrating that here today. That's something that you can do on your own personal time. There's a lot of noise going on around your feed. This is my personal feed. You can see Chris Parmley here is a good friend from American University when I went to school out there. And on the side, I can see a little preview of my pages. You can access your pages right from here. Many different ways that you can do things. Get familiar with this screen. we're going to be brushing real quick through some of this stuff. I want to show you how, if you're at square one, how do you create a page? So you click on here. You see this little, hard to see here in the class because it's very dark, but there's a little drop down menu over here. And I will say there are many different ways to start creating a page. Just like on Twitter, there's many different ways to tweet. Just keep this in mind. Here, I can come here and I can go ahead and manage pages I already own, or I can create pages. Let's just hit manage pages. You can already see that once you've been in the business a while, you'll get a lot of pages that you can have access to and manage. So it's really important, again, that you take your time and understand and know what you're doing on Facebook, just to make sure that you're doing it on the right account. You hit that create a page, and now you can have options. Options, options, options. What kind of a page do you want to create? Is it a business, a company, a brand? These things are something that you have to consider. Take a look at each one, see what it does, what it doesn't do. There's going to be minute differences between each one of these types of pages. So just be aware of that. I'm going to hopefully see if I can actually set up a new brand page for, let's create a category of, how about technology? Is there a technology one? And websites. Yeah, it's close enough. Let's see if it'll allow me to set up an SMEM training 15 page here. You really want to, this is where you might want to actually take a look at the terms of conditions, run that by your lawyer if you want to, because each one is a little bit different. Let's see if it allows me to do it. Okay, so I got some settings that I can go through here. Add descriptions, add a profile photo, add a unique web address. This is important. If it gives you the option of selecting a unique web address, jump on that, because you want your branding to be the same. This is just like your Twitter account. So I didn't talk about it, but twitter.com/your username is your web address for Twitter. Facebook, you want to be facebook.com/your username to be your website. So I'm going to go ahead and see if it'll let me do this. Training page for SMEM. I have a blog set up, don't I? www.smemtraining15.blogspot.com. And now it's letting me save this info. So perfect, I have all that done. I can get myself a picture. I'm trying to race through this because I don't really want to spend too much time on this, so I apologize if your brain is exploding, as one person tweeted out earlier. Won't mention any names in the back of the room. Okay, so now I can add it to my favorites. All this is, I'll add it to my favorites. Remember when I had all that noise on the side here? That's my favorites. So now I can find this right over there. Preferred page audience, I don't even know what this means, but you can come in here and kind of help Facebook understand who your target audience is, presumably, because then it's going to kind of read your algorithm and try to send your message to the right people. One of the frustrating things that we have to deal with Facebook is it does have this algorithm. So if you have 100 followers or 100 people that like your page and you hit send on your message, it doesn't always reach all 100 people. Facebook's algorithm may send it to 10, maybe 15, 20, 25, thousands, who knows, depending on the popularity of that post. They're trying to match. I already have a like on the page and I haven't even gotten through this. So whoever's paying attention, good job. All right, save. I'm going to save all this. Here's my page. Here you go. Voila. And I already have 3 notifications from people paying attention that I have liked this page. So that's great. Now it's going to make me do the little tour. I'm going to skip all that because I don't want to do all this. Oh my word, there's a lot. Okay, so you can see up notifications just like on your home screen. On your personal account, you can get notifications up here. And actually right now I'm still logged in as my personal self here. If you have your little personal icon here, you see how my logo is me during the Colorado Wildfire Academy. It's a great picture. That's important to know who is up here, because that's going to be the default for when you're using Facebook. It's going to default to that individual. It gets a little bit more complicated than that, but try to remember, if your personal icon is up there, you're probably going to be defaulting to use Facebook with that icon. Let's say I want to make sure that I'm using it as SMEM Training 15. You go back to that little arrow, hit SMEM Training 15. Notice how that changes. Now the default using Facebook is SMEM Training 15. I have no other way to explain it to you other than take your time and make sure you know which account you're on, because Facebook has changed the things all up a lot. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're sending and when you're sending it. That's as simple as I can get there. Okay, so it's asking me to add a cover photo. This section up here, you could add a cover photo, which you can do. Add some contact information. I'm not going to do all that right now. How do I send a post? Let's get a post out. First, I've made sure that I'm using Facebook as SMEM Training 15. I changed that up here. If you have issues with that, again, use Facebook as what? I have all these different pages. I made sure I went down here to use Facebook as this page. Okay? What have I been up to? Here's where I can type a post. So we are training today on Facebook. Check out the whole live stream and I'm going to go find that link again. Sound like a broken record, but I apologize. Now I'm going to spit that back into here. Notice how it happened pretty fast here. I copied and pasted that link in here. There was a little ... that was kind of thinking. It was doing just like we did on Google+, getting that preview for Facebook. And you can like that or not. If you decide that you don't want to have that preview, hover over this, there's a little X and you can get rid of that. Occasionally, you'll actually be able to edit the text. There'll be a text field underneath here where you can edit the text for that page, for what's going to show up in the preview. For this purpose, I'm going to just do that. We talked about hashtags. Hashtags can be used on Facebook. So I can come in here now and type in SMEM Training 15, just like on Twitter. My only caution to you is Facebook people do not typically like to have to deal with hashtags. So if you throw a hashtag in, put it at the end. Put it in a way that it's not disrupting the flow of the communication that you have, because Facebook users by and large are on Facebook because they don't like Twitter, or they don't even know what Twitter is. That's the case in many instances. So you don't want to all of a sudden have your Facebook stream look like a Twitter stream, but you can still use a hashtag. So here's a post. I want to show you here that I can actually, if I scroll down here, it's hard to see, but there's a little arrow here, says schedule. I can go ahead and send this whenever I want down the road sometime, or I can send it now. Or an interesting thing is you can actually backdate it to show it backdate. It's the reason it's giving you the backdate feature is because it's wanting you to have the ability to order your posts. You want one post in front of the other, and say you sent 3 posts, but you really wanted a different one. You can change the backdate. As official agencies, I don't really see a good use for doing that. Maybe you can think of something, but typically I could schedule in advance.
State Department.
Without making any political statements, I'm not saying anything about backdating. You could save this as a draft, so come back to it later. If you wanted to put money behind your campaign and try to boost your post to people beyond your initial followers, hit the boost post button. You'll have to set up an account and money and all that fun stuff, but that's an option if you wanted it. Hit post. Here you go. Here's my post, and I can watch this Ustream. In theory, I probably shouldn't do it since I'm streaming, but it's available right there. I can actually watch it right here. And if you notice on Twitter, Twitter did the exact same thing. If you copied that link over, it embedded it in there. How do you engage with people, or how will people engage with you? They're going to engage with you just like they do on your Facebook page. They're going to like, comment, and share. You can like, comment, and share other people's stuff from the page. So I can go find, let's say, Ready Colorado, again, our preparedness page in Colorado. Check up here, I'm still using this as SMEM Training 15, so I can now come here and like this. I've liked this as the page, not as myself. Does that make sense? Very important to get to know those things. Yes, question?
So you can create a personal page and then create a,
You have to create a personal page.
yes, and then create an agency page.
So the key terminology is you create a personal profile and then create a page from the profile.
But your personal self can like the page that you created.
Yes, the personal self can like the page you created, absolutely. So I can come into here now and use switch my username to myself. See, I'm back to myself. And there are many different ways of doing this. I'm just showing you the way I use it. Let's go now to the page I just set up. So now I'm teaching you how to search. While I answer this question, I'm teaching another key point here. Okay, see how I typed in SMEM Training 15? It kind of started to do its little thing, and now it found my site. It doesn't always work that simply, but because I created a page, it makes it a little easier. So I've already liked this page myself, apparently. So we're already good there. Okay, let's see. Yes.
Flicking on this microphone. make sure it works. Is it working? Okay. I just wanted to point out that what I have found, and I learn something new. I'm learning things while I'm listening to Nathan. We learn something new every time someone exposes us more to a different tool. But when I go up to the search bar and I search for something like Funny River Fire, the first list that will come up will be things that actually have that as a name. It's the name of their page. Then at the very bottom, does this one have it? I don't see any down there. But at the very bottom are things that include the words Funny River in them, that have been mentioned on the page. When I was looking up some stuff, I don't know why this one is not showing. I looked up Northeast Storm when I was doing the thing for the group that was here before because I wanted to see what would come up. And at the top were things that started Northeast, shop, Northeast, anything that had the words Northeast. At the bottom, there were, right there, see, there were Northeast, those are storm links. And those are, so if you click on those ones at the bottom, the other ones have it in the name. The ones on the bottom will give you posts that are about Northeast Storm. So it'll give you two things in the search. So you don't have to actually know the name of a page. If you just want to see people talking about ABC Fire or whatever it is, you can look at the bottom for those search terms. Don't look in the title if nobody happens to have started that. You just want to see who's. That's when I say it's about social media is a lot about listening over the backyard fence. I can hear neighbors talking to each other. I can go on there, do that search, and I can see who on their Facebook page that's made it. If they've kept it private, it won't come up. But if it's relatively available, I can see everybody who's talking to each other all about. All about those that particular subject, and that's what I want to be able to do. It's the same with Twitter. I search for it. I can watch people essentially talk about me. If I think of myself as the incident, I can watch how everyone is talking about me to each other, and get a sense of what's going on in the community, and that's what's important.
Yes.
They had a question about if you could explain your sharing settings when they're trying to share your one of your posts. They keep getting.
We're having some audio issues.
Okay, you're good.
But we're good now? Okay. So again, if you're having the error that came up with somebody, it says that they were trying to share information. It said some users may not be able to see everything you're sharing. And that has to do with either my privacy settings or your privacy settings, and also whether you're sharing something from my personal profile or the page. There's a lot of different things that could play into that. We want to show a couple of different things before we get to your exercise portion. Your exercise portion is, we're not going to have you set up a page unless you want to. You certainly can. We just want you to practice how to post. And how to post is how to post on your personal profile. It's the same essential thing as how to post on your page. You just come in here, you start typing your post, and I showed you how to do all that. Okay? Complete a search. We just typed in the search here, SMEM Training 15, and it showed up. It gave me an option here. If I hit enter on my keyboard, which most of us do, then it's going to automatically go to this page. But if you don't hit enter and you hit display more results, and it's still not wanting to do that. Okay, let's try something a little different. Let's do the Northwest Storm. Is that what you were looking at earlier? Northeast Storm. See more results. Notice again, this is another learning point that I'm learning right now. The search options here are much different than when I was searching as a person, because now I'm searching as the page. So you've got to just kind of navigate your way around. I'm going to go ahead back because I think I had more options when I was searching as myself. And I'm going to come back into here. Well, I guess we're just going to keep going for the class here. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so you have all these different options. We did this already, but I wanted to show you, you've got other search terms that you can find up here. So just off, I typed in Northwest Page by accident because my brain is going to explode itself. Just know that you can use these additional search capabilities up here. From up here, you can also search a hashtag directly. So when you search in the hashtag, it's going to bring up SMEM training and other things. So that's up there as well. This is post specifically about SMEM. Okay, I know I rushed through that a little bit. Typed in hashtag SMEM. Instead of picking on one of these, I went all the way down to the search icon here, searched, and we're good to go there. How do you find a link to the specific post? Again, one of our key points here is we want to be able to make sure that you can find a post and share it directly. So I'm going to go back to using myself as my page. Look for that timestamp. That timestamp is where you get that specific link. It's hard to see, but it's right here. 8 minutes ago is when this was posted. Click on that. Now I have that exact link. I can copy that link over, head back over to our roster that we've set up, and then I can throw that link in under the link to Facebook page or Facebook post. Okay? So we have really barely even brushed the surface of Facebook, but we didn't have too much time, and we really want you to get into the tool to play with it. So the exercise things that we want you to do are to create a profile if you have not already done so. We want you to review your personal settings and your page settings. I've really briefly been over that. Let's see if I can just touch on that a little bit more before we go off. So within this home, if you click home here, you've got all these settings. Excuse me, not home. You click on your username or the page here. You've got all these different settings here. You can see your private messages. So one of the things I want you to do is send me a message, and we demonstrated that earlier right over here. Well, this one doesn't allow you to send me a message in this instance. So there must be a privacy setting that is inherent to the type of page I picked that's preventing us from doing that right now. Okay, here's where you can see the notifications. Here where I can see what people have liked and whatnot. Here's your settings in here. So my page visibility, posting ability, targeting and privacy. All of this stuff is, we don't have time to go through it all right now, but you're going to want to go through every single one of these different pieces of information to make sure that your settings are the way that you want them to be set up. Okay. Page roles, we can't skip over this. Page roles, you have got to know you're going to be collaborating with other people. So if you want to invite other people here, you can come in here and let's see if it will pull up anyone. Just type a specific email. What is your email that you use for Facebook?
AK Fire. Gmail.
Okay, so it really helps if you know the specific email that someone uses for Facebook. It's going to ask me to re-enter my password. There we go. So I have now invited Chris Erickson to become an editor on this page. I can change the settings from admin, editor, moderator, advertiser, or analyst, and all that does is give different levels of permission to the page, and you can play with that as you like. If you have any issues getting people to come onto this page, get them to become friends with you first, then type their email address in, and that typically will solve that problem. With that, we're going to go allow you to jump into the exercise portion of this. Again, we know that we've just scratched the surface of this. Oh, I know why you couldn't send me a message, because I am a manager of this page. There's no reason why I would send myself a message. You should be able to send me a message. Okay, so for practice, you want you to set up a profile if you have not already done so. Practice publishing some posts to the SMEM Training 15 hashtag using either a page if you want or your personal profile. Keeping in mind, however, because of everybody's privacy settings are going to be different, we may not all be able to view those tweets or those Facebook posts when we search for them. Complete a search, find the SMEM Training 15 page and like it, and take a specific link into the workbook like I showed you, and then send me a private message if you're able. That's going to end our training on Facebook. We're going to come back together at 3:30 Eastern Time for our final module of the day, which is going to be on a variety of other accounts, specifically looking at Instagram, Flickr, and if we get to them, and Pinterest, and if we get to them, we'll talk a little bit about Tumblr, Reddit, and YouTube and Vimeo. So please make sure you're back in your seats, ready to go by 3:30 Eastern Time. If you have questions during the practice time, you can email those questions to nemoteams@gmail.com, type them into the Ustream comment stream, and or share your comments and questions with SMEM Training 15 using the hashtag on Twitter, SMEM Training 15.
Okay.
That